Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru, low.
And folks might be thinking to yourselves, hey, these guys aren't as close to each other as they have been. That's right, because we are actually taking a break from the Close Combat Tournament to actually pivot over towards the Balanced Mod kind of tournament itself. So today, actually, we are in Orsha East, and the games this week are going to be from the finals. Rang, who's in the finals, and what are they bringing to this particular match?
Left-hand side in the blue, we have Nilla playing as the Romanian Munte division with a Maverick income. Right-hand side in red, we have Robert playing Third Guard Mechanized with a Vanguard income.
Indeed. So what should we be expecting out of this particular matchup between these two?
So, yeah, I mean, Third Guard Mech, standard Sherman spam, lots of infantry. And 4th Munte, also a pretty good infantry division with, well, that Romanian infantry can be pretty nasty, and a lot of anti-tank from both sides. So, I don't know, I feel like this would be a pretty good matchup, just in terms of balance for this balanced mod.
And, you know, it is a pretty good matchup, one would think, from the beginning here, but I will say those guard troops are probably going to heavily outclass those troops up in the north-hand side. The Pioneeries, the Venatori, the Monte. Yes, it doesn't seem like they should be able to do it on the face of it, but there's not a whole lot of anti-tank. Although we do have the Strum Pistol, which I just absolutely adore being in this mod.
Yeah. But the Vanatories, oh, it's going to be a pretty brutal CQC fight. The Superiors coming in with their Satchel chances should prove to be pretty clutch, yeah. But of course, the Denatuntis with their Molotovs. It's just going to be back and forth, but here comes the cavalry, that being the Shermans, and yeah, that's going to be Nilla's forces in the forest completely gone, and Herr Robert has already managed to push out the forest and get some pretty good territorial gains with that guard squad.
But you know what? Fear not, because we have the convoy, the R-35s, are on the way.
Oh wow. I think France in 1940 called, they wanted their tanks back.
Yeah, it's one of those things I kind of feel like you wait, and it's like putting popcorn in the microwave, and then you wait 5 minutes and realize you haven't turned it on, and then you just kind of... and then movie night never gets started, it's a whole thing, but...
Yeah. They get to the front line, eventually, I guess, without dropping 20 kilometers on the road speed.
Yeah, and it makes you think. I mean, they are coming out of the western side of it like a giant worm. There's no sand, but he controls the R-35s, does control the world, so we'll see what happens there.
Or Orsha East, at least.
Ooh, that's certainly true. Yeah, that's right. We can't speak any further, but we'll climb that dune when we get there. In the meantime, we do have some ground attack happening here, and rather abortive already. Very abortive.
I do find it funny how Nilla's forces has managed to kind of do like a sneak around here and actually encircle Herr Robert's forces, yeah, the Vanatories going around. That's a pretty smart maneuver.
It certainly is. And guys, remember, there are going to be morale consequences to it.
Mm-hmm.
Not huge ones, perhaps, immediately, but there are going to be consequences. Looking elsewhere in the entire map, though, we actually going to see some guards trying to put up another... Oh, no, there's support in the central position. There is an awful lot of Russians in that town.
Yeah, Herr Robert's been extremely aggressive so far in his A phase. I mean, he's got a 16-8 over Nilla, and he is keeping on the pressure really effectively. If he can just keep us up, I mean, he's managed to divert a lot of resources from the north. He can push for the center, capture a hill, and we all know once you get the hill, you get the match.
Exactly. I mean, that high ground, it served, Obi-Wan Kenobi well. It can serve Herr Robert well, because right now it is 17-7. That's going to be a bit of a tough hill to climb.
It really is. But yeah, we're just seeing, our R-35 push. So it's just so slow, goddamn. And there's no recon to back it up. I don't think it's going to perform more like RAL, especially if Herr Robert's Su-76 isn't just too nearby.
True, but they did have the Henschel 129 coming on in, and actually a lot of Romanian material is up in the air. And in fact, those little wussy ground attack planes take down Cobra, so it's nothing terrible.
Huh? Not too bad indeed. Not too bad.
And two programs are actually out. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Roberts has been doing a very good job just keeping up his pressures. We're seeing on the hill. I mean, you've got some Vanatories being pushed, and actually doing a good job forcing those guard squads back, but the problem is Nilla doesn't have much support apart from the... Oh, this is air support. I'll take that back, actually. A lot of air support.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the decks really overall, front-loading a huge amount of air power in that A phase. I mean, luckily over here for Herr Robert, he does have more than a few 37 mils, and at the same time, too, let's think about it. A lot of his vehicles do have that mod Deuce that can fire up in the air, so...
Yeah. Gotta love those American 50 cals, man.
But you're right, the Venatoris over here, with their double MG34s, way more long-range firepower than those guard squads on a consistent basis. DP just cannot manage to kind of, I would argue, have the same kind of impact, especially when you have troops like these out in the open.
Yeah. The main thing is that Herr Robert does have the town cover to back him up, and as you've seen, as he's backed up into the town, he's managed to force back the Vanatoris. So yeah, it's just not looking really good at all here for Nilla. He's gonna lose in 5 minutes if this keeps up.
But folks, you know, we wouldn't give you a game like that if it was like over in 30 seconds. I mean, or
No.
would we?
Or rotary.
No, we wouldn't.
No.
Or would
And you
we?
can already tell by the time of the YouTube video. It's hard to hide these things.
It is, but at the same time, you know, I just always imagine that maybe people look at this and think of our sharp, incisive wit at the end, you know, as we practice for our stand-up tour in the summer of 2023.
Yeah.
Tickets go on sale at your nearest box office, so, actually, I have nothing funnier to actually even add to that. So stand-up is aborted for right now, but this R35 push is not. And a single Su-76 is not going to hold back these tides. I don't care how much of a hero he is.
Choo-choo, here comes your 33s.
And the 35s as well.
Oh, 35s, yes. I forgot to add 2 in out of Crazen.
Well, you know, as it is, we see the Su-76 hero doesn't get a single round off, which is why you always have a turret on your equipment here. Yeah. And those ground attack fighters have just been nigh constant over here inside that town.
Yeah, he's bombing the absolute bejesus out of it, and it's a rather target-rich environment with how Herr Robert has set up his troops. And yeah, Nilla's has really been investing a lot in his air power. It's working out pretty well. There's not a whole lot of ground-based anti-air or real fighters to shoot him down, so he's getting an array of it, but he needs to get some more territorial claims, because, you know, 17-7, 10 minutes is still not a great time.
No, not generally. I would say I would be doubtful to say that would be a lovely occasion. You know, down to the south, we actually haven't taken a whole lot of a look at it, but we can safely say that snipers are controlling a hefty amount of this, you know, territory. And the Detenuti over here with Panzerschrecks coming up into swift support. Tango de Satniki being dropped on in, but there might be the P-Shrek just in time to kind of start to take out this push.
I don't think so. Tanko's gonna get there first. Yeah.
Oof. And yeah, that's
yeah.
That hand-to-ham's only gonna have one way that was gonna end.
He should have rocket jumped over the Tankos and got behind him. He really missed that strategic opportunity.
And, you know, they don't teach guys like they used to in terms of the rocket jump, but just it's not really a respected tactic.
Yeah, it's more of an American tactic, really.
Well, I mean, that's what... Never mind, I'll leave the Team Fortress jokes alone for right now. We do have assault troops being moved over here into the central position. In fact, 3 different squads, and actually TACAMs over here as well. So, guys, ZIS-3 gun carriages, essentially. And these guys have a absurd amount of firepower from a good amount of distance here. So this is a very, very good call to start pushing back troops from the crest of that hill.
Yeah, it's funny because the TACAM R2 is essentially just Armada 3, but they just had the same vehicle but came to a slightly different conclusion.
Well, one of those conclusions was, hey, we're going to fire the guns up, okay?
Yeah.
And that seemed to be good enough for them.
It worked. And finally, the guards up north are actually getting bombed. I mean, that one guard squad have held, you know, 2 very valuable flags there for so long, and Nilla really needs some infantry up here just to try and wipe them out. I do like how Herr Robert does have some Tankos in the forest. He's probably keeping them in ambush, waiting for some perfect anti-tank gun or infantry unit to snipe.
I think I love it just about as much as there's the R35 just to the south of everything. Just like, oh yes, I'm going to scout for everyone else, and probably give my life for the cause, but all the same.
God, I don't know what he's gonna do with the R35s. It's he just brought the R35s up north and not much else, and you kind of need a bit more than just those R35. So I do like the meme potential.
The Tackums? Okay, no, the Tackums didn't go down. I'm sorry, I got distracted by this Junkers that is making a run over here to the south. And guys, again, that is a hefty, 550 pounds of sweet, sweet love in here. And that's exactly what happens every single time. SU-76 to the north, he's going to start to engage all of those particular artillery pieces, and does go down. But
yeah,
not terrible.
Nilla's actually investing a lot in anti-tank guns now. He's got a lot of Pak 40s, he's got a lot of the Pak 97 38 mils. He's definitely getting quite a lot of anti-armor assets, which is a good call considering the potential Sherman spam which will be heading his way.
In due time. It's got a bit of time yet, but again, in due time.
Yeah.
Now the Tackums over here, they do have a bit of a liability in that they don't have a whole lot of HE. Of course, that's kind of an issue no matter what kind of AT piece you're going to be bringing on in. And Lazar making another run as well. Ooh, wow. Oh, going for the Amtra. Okay.
Really kill?
Nah.
He will not kill.
But what barrage is coming the other direction here?
I think that's 152 mils. You have to do a pretty good job of just... I'd say stopping that push, but there's not a whole lot. Yeah, it's really just those two Tackums. The rest of the infantry just a bit down south. That might catch a little bit of shrapnel.
And I'm wondering if this is the moment when Nilla should just kind of rotate his attack down to the south. He's got a couple of 50 mils, I think, just kind of hanging on out for the moment down to the south. Just have a quick cup of tea. Pioneers over here in the meantime going just south of that town as of, well. So there is potential to see some big kabooms here, or even, heck, some radical reshiftings of lines, but for the moment, kind of just a very, very banal southern theater.
Yeah, this is definitely a good area that Nilla could potentially exploit, because as we're seeing here for God Vision, Herr Robert doesn't really have much, including, no anti-tank at all, so, Panzer IV, for example, down south would prove to be a rather king of the jungle.
So I got distracted by the IL-4s. We're going to bomb that poor Pak 40. That is just overkill. That's really overkill.
But it's killed, nonetheless.
Yeah, and I suppose that's kind of the thing, isn't it? It's that it's one of those things that if it's stupid and it works, it's still stupid and it might kill you someday.
But it works.
Yeah, exactly, though. But just HE just feels so good. But there's that P4 you were talking about. Engaged in the town. With air support, with infantry moving on in, there is the potential to maybe flip just enough flags to make this dangerous.
Yeah, I do like how Nilla is actually heading from the south of the hill here and trying to maneuver his way up north. We are seeing an Emsha being brought in to try and counter it, but it's definitely a good way to maneuver. I think he's deciding to move this way instead of moving eastwards, because even though pushing down south would be good, it has a lot of open ground, and that can be pretty hard to cover, especially with the distance from his spawn.
Oh, absolutely. Now we already see one of the 81Cs probably go down here just over the central position. Yep, there we go.
You called it.
Yeah, Caster's Curse is right twice a day. Last time I checked, daylight savings is a bit of a hassle, but yeah, twice a day, man. Pioneer over here going to get caught out in the open by that Emsha. But I'm interested to see if the 100 off map is going to kill the 37 mils. Not going to kill the second one. Not the second one. It's too far north. But maybe some incidental suppression.
Yeah. But the main thing is Herr Robert is still keeping up at pressure. He's got that 14-10 advantage. And really, once we get to C phase, it doesn't really matter. I mean, in the mod, both incomes have the same income in C phase, so it's going to be pretty even Stevens, which is definitely, at this point, a Herr Robert advantage. Oh my god, that's a lot of recruits.
But I feel like it's still worthwhile. Yeah, I'm not even looking at that thing. Those are dead men walking right there. Or you're driving, I suppose. But this is still the time for Nilla to make up that lost ground. Again, he was hammered for the longest time here.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, indeed. And he feels like he's starting to make a little bit of progress getting back onto the hill. I think his off-map artillery strike should cause a lot of damage as, well, it's a very target-rich environment.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll find out in 16 seconds, though. R-35's to the north in the meantime, though. It is starting to become a shooting gallery up there. Yikes.
Yeah. God, imagine being in a goddamn R-35 in 1944. Even in 1940, it wasn't that great of a tank.
But you know what? There's a TOT over here from Nilla. There's a TOT over here from Herr Robert in the central position. And yeah. I don't know which one's going to be more worthwhile here. My heart says the 100 mil. My head says probably the 100 mil. I have another context.
Yeah, it's doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really quite surprised.
I'm actually surprised that Nilla didn't just rush the recruitee up into the central town, but actually unloading them up north a little bit. I thought he was just going to rush them up and try to force a bunch of surrenders, but apparently not.
Well, the last one is being called in with a slightly bigger AoE here on the central part of town. And if you look at a lot of the material that is here, you will notice that there's not as many garrisons as there have been previously, and indeed it is 1311 in favor of Nilla.
There he goes. So he's doing pretty good now. I think that Southern Post definitely relieved a little bit of pressure, and he's still keeping up the momentum, actually pushing pretty aggressively, like far down south. It's really just a Partisani MG42 holding them back from getting another flag, which should go down in a few seconds.
Yep, there you go.
A lot of ordnance for literally one man. But he had an MG42, so I understand fear.
That's true. I can definitely tell you, having held many a crossroad in my Call of Duty days with a single MG, so I know the damage they can inflict on any kind of advancing enemy.
Yeah. Or the Normandy map on Enlisted.
Oh god, yeah. I haven't thought about that game in a while. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Just sitting on that MG.
Yeah.
Or the sniper rifle. Recruiting in the meantime, there is another, swath of them coming on in, and why not? I mean, these guys are a mere 20 points. You can call in 8 of them at a tick. Go for it, by all means.
Yeah, this is working pretty damn well. It's making good progress into that town here. I mean, we've got 2 Su-76s which are providing quite a bit of fire, but the recruitees, there's just so many, it's gonna be hard to knock them all out.
Actually, I believe they call them red shirts. So, I mean, yeah.
Hide to blood.
Exactly. Fetch my brown pants. Because everything's
That's a good uniform color.
Exactly. Red shirt, brown pants. Let's keep the short skirts and the long jackets over here for the Scots. And the IL-4 in the meantime coming on through. And just bombing absolute dog poo out of those recruiting up front. So, I mean, those that's what they're there for, though.
Yeah, they're there to get shot and just draw fire. I mean, Herr Robert's making a good counter-attack. It's really just because he has the fire support backing him up. The 2 TACAMs are making their way up and to try and, well, provide some counter-fire support, but yeah, it's just going to be about who can blow up whose fire support, I feel like.
Now I'm taking a look over here, trying to find maybe the infantry fight over here in C phase. And I'm going to be quite curious about this, because both guys do bring at least some manner of infantry. It's just a matter of who's just deadlier. So I'm quite curious. I'm very, very curious.
Romanian.
And and that's my thought was kind of going to be off the top of my head. But looking at the raw numbers, again, I didn't realize that 105 over here for the Romanians and only 82, a mere 82, for the Soviets. So certainly an opportunity or two there.
Yeah, at least once we get to C phase, I mean, neither side is going to be hurting too much in terms of availability, so it shouldn't come down to a complete attrition warfare. And also, because this is balanced mod, there is a sudden death mechanic, I believe, like later on in the game, like past 40 minutes or something.
as you know, the good Lord upstairs suggested. And when I say good Lord, of course I mean the developer. So a very big thank you to Gensi for actually making sure that stays in.
Yeah.
P4's in the meantime getting engaged by his SD2 and does go down, but his brother continues to lay down the smackdown over here just out of that town and engaging the superiors and keeping them under wraps.
Yeah, he's done a pretty good job navigating that Panther 4 there. If he can move it up a little bit more up north, he can definitely provide some more useful fire support. And just having his southern hill under control has really given Nilla another good angle on trying to retake his hill. He's got a whole, like, bunch more Panther Force being brought up in here. And there's only one Emcher, so see how I have to go for him.
As commander, too, so you know already that the commander's is just completely worthless. He's not going to do a whole lot there.
Yeah, that big star just makes him a big target.
Exactly. Exactly. But, you know, I'm also surprised. If you want to look up to the top, I think the guys who are winning the, you know, Great Outdoors Award, the Tenko Desant Nikis behind the front line, they have been there since the R-35s went through.
Yeah.
Which is saying quite a bit. Comrati, in the meantime, is going to engage that PaK 9738. And the P4s are actually just going to waltz on forward. They're not Matildas, but they do know how to waltz.
They do. And he does definitely outgun that Emcher by quite a bit. Yeah, there we go. Manages to knock it out. And right now, the armor advantage is definitely vanilla here in the hill. This 2-gun can prove to be a bit of a troublesome customer if it does not get dealt with.
You know, I think there should be like a "we refuse to serve you" moment for those tough customers that this is to. Like, we can't engage you right now. Like, come on, take your shit someplace else.
Yeah.
But you're right, so we are seeing that southern town is firmly in Nilla's grasp. I was actually quite surprised by that.
Yeah, he is starting to really turn the tide. I think just that B-phase income just gave him that little bit of an advantage. And as we're seeing, he is, you know, continuing to make pretty good ground. He also has 200mm on-map artillery guns starting to fire array. They do have that radio trait, which is quite nice.
They certainly do, and they are doing exactly what they need to do, which is engage that anti-aircraft position. So the ADA getting taken out by 100mm rounds. Well done there. Looking for that ZIS-2 next. Probably a good idea as well.
Yep, that's really the other thing holding him back. We're seeing the Cobra being brought in. I don't know why, as nothing to shoot down right now. Unless he's gonna strafe. Oh, he's strafing.
Yeah, it's a vain strafe.
Yeah, it's a very vain strafe. It was recruit. He don't deserve that.
No.
They're not worth the ammunition.
No, like that. You don't waste 50 cals on pogs. Like, it's not done.
No, it's not very poggers.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. But Infanteristi over here going to the central position, and these are the late game infantry that you were talking about before. That Herr Robert, I don't think he's got the ability to stop him at this point.
Yeah, it's just going to be a whole lot of infantry here from Nilla. And of course, the Romanian infantry are pretty well equipped, all things considering.
Mm-hmm.
So just that slight advantage, including numbers advantage, is going to go quite well for him. While
Yes.
Herr Robert is really just spamming guards.
Well, and let's take a moment to kind of maybe theory craft for a moment. Yes, Maverick gives you a little bit more income, but if you're looking at the relative difference between the two, would you say that that Vanguard is at a relative disadvantage against even something like Maverick, where you wait until that B phase?
I think, if I'm doing the math correctly, I believe Maverick you get more overall income,
Yes.
I mean, if you look in the A phase, the difference is 25 points, or if you're looking in B phase, the difference is 30 or 40 points actually. So if you can survive that initial A phase rush and that like initiative Herr Robert has, you're getting more points overall come B phase.
You know, and that's the thing that I was trying to get at over here, is that if you're looking at really the relative difference, and you get basically one more infantry squad every 30 seconds, that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, in single infantry squad, especially in the early game, when you can lose, it'll be massive swings of points lost as you try to kind of gain that initial position. I don't know if that's worth basing your entire kind of tactical strategy around it.
Yeah, it's risky. If you don't manage to pull off, extremely good maneuvers in A phase, you're going to get buggered. Herr Robert, to be fair, did a really good job in A phase, but he just could not keep up that momentum. And as we're seeing now, he's losing pretty bad. The tables have turned.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. And I'm not really sure he really wants the spin doctors right there to be turning it as much as they are. There is one flame troop to the north, and I kind of wanted that Bren carrier to go in front of him so he could just kind of roast and toast it, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, it's not, and we're actually seeing Nilla manage to get back one of the flags up north with just a very light infantry push. I don't know how long this will actually last. But I think what's really screwed over her, Robert, is just a complete neglect of the southern flank. It's not so much losing the southern flank as the front lines indicate right now, but just allowing Nilla to get into the southern end of the hill.
Yes. Yes.
Because, yeah, there's a lot more blue right now on that hill compared to red.
And well, when you have a single infantry squad, sorry, like a sniper squad over here, taking a flag by suppressing guys literally about a kilometer off, that's a great investment. I will take that every single day and twice on Saturday.
Yeah, and there's no fire support like backing up his infantry pushes, so they're just going to be completely buggered. We've seen an SU-85 being brought here, but he's going to run into the TACAM, and the TACAM can. Can it? Can it?
Well, he sort of can. He can lame his prey before he kills him.
Yeah.
There we go.
Third time's a charm, you know.
Playing with his food.
Yeah, when you use a Russian artillery gun on a Russian anti-tank unit, it's you have to shoot a little bit more. The gun gets a bit confused in the targets.
Yeah, it's not the anti-tank dogs who knew exactly which tanks they needed to destroy.
I smell diesel.
Exactly. So there is an MTRA in the middle. There's an SU-85 as well, but the SU-85 cannot be as aggressive as that MTRA can. There's no more tanks other than the occasional Martyrs actually sitting in the back and the southern side of that hillside. But there's just way too much infantry. And not for nothing, but that Sherman's not going to be enough to do it by himself.
No, it is not. Now, pretty much Nilla has managed to grind down Robert quite a bit here. And I think just the constant artillery, especially considering this area of the hill is pretty choke pointy, is definitely doing him quite a bit of favors, just keeping all the infantry suppressed.
Or slain, as the case might be. One thing that's kind of also standing out to me here is there were stovepipes that definitely could have been brought on in. And yet, no stovepipes were brought on in.
No.
So I'm not feeling the love on that.
He was definitely relying quite a bit on the off-map artillery to help out, but now we see he's ran out of off-map artillery. He can't keep back his offensive push. We're seeing an IL-4. Maybe he can be the off-map.
No, but he's too busy doing rinky-dink targets. Again, I'm sorry, not worth it. I don't care if you might lose your anti-air at this point. The anti-air is not going to get you back in this game. You cannot use a bomber, I think, on a single infantry squad like that.
No, that's... Yeah, there's that constant artillery and there's just bringing in all the Martyrs and TACAMs. Who needs tanks when you got tank destroyers? Same thing with Robert, bringing in a lot of SU-85s and SU-76s.
Actually, those 100 mils are going to be Winchester, and the last shots coming on through.
But they've done their job.
They certainly have. They have done their job and then some. SU-85 revealed itself, and yeah, as you might suspect, 4 or 5 different positions are just engaging it. So, one plays slow pitch, another one's going to kill it. I mean, so it doesn't really matter what happens. And jeez. I would have thought those Shermans with those stabilizers would have been more than enough to control that town. But it appears even stabilizers can't do that.
You think the stabilizers would stabilize the town. It what makes the Sherman the best tank in the goddamn road, but apparently not today, unfortunately.
No, it does not seem to be the case today, folks. As we approach what looks like the swan song that we hear for Herr Robert, unless he can pull a miracle out of his back pocket. And I'm not sure he's really wearing anything with pockets today.
No, I think it's safe we can take his 2 times too.
Yeah, let's do that over here at 2950.
Yep.
Sounds good. All right, folks, here we go. Going to go into the last little chunk of time here. Yes, Emcha, PT, it's got a little bit of physical therapy going on here. We got a Sherman coming on in, killing a martyr or two, but he's happy to give his life up for the cause. And the TACAMs over here, yes, again, equally, fine getting wrecked. Doesn't matter, they're going to trade their lives for time here.
And, well, Nilla has a lot of time to work with, and a lot of territory too. Yeah, 16-8 is a pretty big advantage. I mean, that northern push is somewhat well here for her, Robert, but it's just not going to be enough.
I am stunned, almost as stunned as the artillery was just now, but I am stunned by how effective those recruit troops were. The disheartened guys, I have such low opinion of those kinds of troops, and still, very, very good job. Very skillful use of them.
I mean, I guess, being disheartened in Romania is a little bit better than being a disheartened German. I'm guessing really sad troop are more like Czechs and Ukrainians and other people who've been voluntold to join the German army.
Yeah, I was going to say, check your ethnicity there, my friend. But
yeah.
Here, Robert,
pretty
in the meantime,
close.
Yeah, pretty
on
close.
KD.
And the chronology back and forth it was honestly quite back and forth for a hefty chunk of it. There's a rough patch from about 20 to about 22 minutes over here for the Reds, but other than that, very, very even.
Yeah, no, like, real heavy tanks or infantry, heavy tanks or, super powerful units, just infantry and medium armor going at it.
Well, Krumov over here has gone and been kicking his fair share of puppies.
Whoa! That's an entire R-35 company, right? Yeah.
It is. And I don't know what company he was trying to keep there, but it wasn't good.
No. And losses... Nothing that really stood out.
No.
Just, everyone did their part for the Romanian cause.
And and we can go and certainly tease the Romanians in many different ways, but they, if remotely used effectively, they are talented division here. So well done there.
Yeah. I found them really funny when they first released. I thought they were very underwhelming because they didn't really have anything all that crazy. But as we've seen over the past year, the Romanians are very good division nation overall, and still Division 2.
Absolutely. But folks, that's going to about do it here for this first game. So Nilla, the Division 1 champ, scores a minor victory over here in this first game. I think on Thursday we'll come back for a second one.
Yep.
Well, folks, until then, be sure to come back. Until then, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.